What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about B3 today. Hit that like button, you guys. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and let's get into it, my friends. Here we are at about 0052, half a cent, 0.2, dropping, seeing a little bit of a lower price, and that's fine. This is an area that we've been anticipating for quite some time, from a low to a high, getting below the golden ratio, finding support at the golden ratio, finding resistance at the 0.5. It's just a matter of time before you see the 786 or lower. Being here, it's very possible we could find support and go higher. I have theorized that 0052 to 0049, 0048, whatever, somewhere in that area is likely where we find support. If not, it's completely possible that we could see a double bottom or even go lower. It is possible, man. If you don't think it's possible, let me explain why. If Bitcoin, not financial advice, not a financial advisor here, but if it does do what I've been calling for it to do, and it moves down to 74 to 72K, 71K, somewhere in that zone there, if we see a 13 to a 15% drop for Bitcoin itself, what's B3 going to do? Bitcoin drops 13%. This thing drops 13% with it, probably not. But at the best case scenario, you have a double bottom. If it drops more than Bitcoin, which is a possible outcome, maybe at a 2-to-1 ratio, that's a 26% drop that takes you to your minimum fib extension here. It's a very possible outcome. I wonder from a low to high here, does this line up with anything? Your 2618 is right there with the 1272. I mean, it makes sense. You could go down to 0038, 00387, somewhere in that area there. We're at 0052 right now. So very, very possible. Doesn't mean that it has to happen, but it's very possible. And we'll see how that goes. If B3 can pump, however, if we do get some kind of rapid recovery from here and we see some targets that are perhaps above these highs here, it is also possible that whenever Bitcoin drops, if Bitcoin drops, that we don't go lower. And now also to another kind of possible outcome, maybe Bitcoin doesn't drop at all, and I've been wrong about the notion of going below 74,000 this whole time. And if that happens, B3 itself might be absolved of going too much lower than it is now. We might have had it right the first time with the 786, 886 area being the support range. But time will tell. There's a bunch of different options, and those are kind of what I see lying before it. If we're looking at B3 here on a market cap basis, B3 at about $111 million, a little bit less than 10% of volume in a 24-hour period, just a little bit less, right? $111 million market cap now. This kind of market cap is very low. It allows coins like this to grow at at a very unprecedented rate. And I say unprecedented, but it's actually very precedented for not the average coin, but for coins in this kind of circumstance, in this position. If we're thinking about a coin that can do a 100x, in other words, all I'm trying to say is a coin that can do a 100x or multi-100x, they oftentimes do come from market caps that are at this low. Why? Because if you do a 100x from here, it's not a low market cap, but $11 billion, it's doable. $22 billion, $44 billion, multi-100x's, they happen every single cycle. And they normally happen with coins that are new, that have low market caps, that have fundamentals, have potential, and also have good hype around them, of course. That's kind of the most important thing. It's a popularity contest at the end of the day. So if this thing can formulate all those things together, and I think that it has most of those things, we'll just see if the hype comes in. It's very possible, and I would even say likely that this thing could see not just a 100x, but multi-100x by the end of the cycle. Now, we don't know if this is the low to draw from yet. It's very possible we could go lower. It still is. But from a high to a low, if this is the low, the 1272 target, the immediate targets that we would expect to see by the end of this move, not by the end of the cycle, but by the end of the move sometime in May or June, would be about 3 cents to 5 cents, something in this area. And you could go higher. I accept that B3 could move all the way up to 10 cents. It's very possible, or something around there, just above, just below. If we're looking at the current price here at about half a cent, that would give you a expected move of anything from, at a minimum, of about a 5.5x to potentially a 7x almost, or maybe even as much as a 9x and beyond. We could see this could be a 10x or more capable coin. From a $100 million market cap to 10x, that is about a $10 billion market cap, and that's a very possible outcome that we could see. But 10x is here. I don't know if we stop in between the 1618 and the 1886. I would say that we either stop somewhere between about 3 cents or 5 cents, and if we don't stop at 5 cents itself, we're not stopping until we see 7 cents or 8 cents, something like that, which is fine with me, or higher. Who knows? This thing could have some legs on it, man. But I do believe that we're going to see some rapid recovery here in just a matter of days, weeks. But for the time being, we're working our way to the downside. We look at the 4-hour RSI. You are postured pretty low, looking like you want to get to the oversold zone. I think that the thought is not completed until we get there. However, I will say, looking at the 4-hour RSI, we might be due for a bounce also, because we have lower lows right in this trajectory. We might form another lower high in this trajectory and then come back down, complete the thought, see our oversold area, double bottom, triple bottom, whatever, the same areas that we found support before, and then from there we'll begin to rip going into the second week of this month, third week, fourth week, that kind of stuff going into the end of the month and beyond. So that's kind of the expectation there. A little bit lower, in other words, is what we're calling for. With the possibility, again, that you still could go below this low and maybe you see as much as like a 20 to 30% drop from the current price even. It's very possible. I'm not really counting on that to happen. I don't know if it's the likely outcome, but it's a possibility that we should consider and be aware of, okay? Whenever it does come time to moving higher, whenever it does come time for discovering where our all-time highs might be, because we've talked about where I think we'll be in May and June, going into the end of this month and going into those months there, will be somewhere in this area, if not a little bit higher. Whenever it comes to all-time cycle highs, I do believe that we could see a 100x from here, which would put you all the way up and more, right? That would put you all the way up through the money zone here. A 100x, you guys, would put you right at 50 cents, basically right there at 50 cents. And a multi-100x would take you above $1. It's not likely that we go above $1, but there's a solid chance that we can, right? A price around 87 cents, $1.11. There are significant fibs here. It's too new of a chart to really calculate where the proper price might be. Maybe we respect these fibs, maybe we don't. It's really too new of a chart to know. Could this thing see a 712x? It's possible. That doesn't mean that it will, but it's possible. Coins like this, not financial advice, not a financial advisor, but if you throw some scraps into it, you put like, if $10 is scraps to you, $100, $1,000, whatever it might be, if you've got some scraps lying around and you put it in here, this could be a sleeper, man. It really could make some decent money. And even if it doesn't do these crazy gains by the end of the cycle, I still would expect that we see something on average with the rest of the markets, which would be a 25 to a 30x and likely even more than that. You're at a pretty damn low market cap, and there seems to be some good stuff going on with this thing behind the scenes and in front of the scenes. But we'll see how it goes. I've got nothing else to say. B3 a little bit lower is the expectation. Probably you do find support right around here at 0.0052, maybe as low as half a cent itself, or even, what was it, 0.0047, I think was it, 4.48, something in that area. But that's it, right? We're very near the low, and I think you will recover at some point. But from a 4-hour perspective, it looks like you want to go lower. From a 1-hour perspective, it looks like you want to go a little bit lower. Even from a 15-minute perspective, it looks like you want to go lower. So a little bit lower for now, and then maybe by the end of today, we do actually close up higher, or going into tomorrow as well. I've got nothing else for you. Hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.